Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm wasting my time, but whatever. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to go over what RamZ Paul said. I have not rehearsed anything. I set it to the position of the video that I want to do commentary on. Now, I've already listened to this, half listened to it once, but see, I've already heard all this same shit that RamZ Paul is going to say about the homeless. Who knows how many thousands of times. Everybody says the same thing, just like a script. Just like all these mainstream media pundits all say the same thing, and you'll see clips of like hundreds of these mainstream media pundits all saying the same thing, practically verbatim, word for word, like they're reading from a script. This is exactly what RamZ Paul is doing here, and the script is always the same. All or most homeless people are lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility. So anyway, see, I've already heard this. So we're going to go over this. So what RamZ Paul is saying, all he's doing is echoing your society and what your society says about this subject over and over and over like a broken record. And nobody ever questions it except for some crazy person like me. So let me show you. Again, RamZ Paul, remember, is not an isolated incident. Everybody says the exact identical thing, and I can easily debunk everything he's saying with reasonable logic. But you see, I'm the only one doing it. Nobody, and RamZ Paul and all these other people, they're gatekeepers, so they will not allow for anybody to question what they say. And this is all by design. It's all intentional. See, they're not seeking truth. It's just about winning this argument about the homeless. And they always win because nobody is ever allowed to defend the homeless. The homeless are never allowed to defend themselves. It's all a gatekeeping, controlled narrative. And RamZ Paul is just an isolated incident, is just a case in point example. Not an isolated incident. Your society all says the same thing, like a mass of brain-dead automaton zombie-like robots. So, without further ado, allow me to show you. Here we go. Ready?
So we give them a choice. It's like, no, you can't live here and disturb everyone else, but we're giving you an option. We're not being cruel. This seems reasonable to me. You don't have a right, at least in America, to piss on the street, to hassle people.
Wait, okay. So, he says homeless people don't have a right to piss on the street and shit on the street. They always say this, shitting on the streets and pissing in the streets. This is what your society says. Like RamZ Paul, this is not an original thought that RamZ Paul came up with in his head. This is like the sky is blue and homeless people don't have a right to piss in the and shit in the street. Okay, but so where are the bathrooms that homeless people are allowed to use? You're talking as though that the homeless just have access to bathrooms and that despite that they have access to bathrooms, they are choosing to shit and piss in the street. Where are the bathrooms that they are able to use and are just refusing to use and instead just taking it upon themselves to just, as though they have the right to just piss and shit in the street. But see, are you providing them any other options? And see, RamZ Paul won't even have this discussion because RamZ Paul is right and nobody can tell RamZ Paul otherwise. RamZ Paul is too big to fail. He's just too big to fail. Nobody can debate RamZ Paul on this. And again, RamZ Paul is not an isolated incident. This is the controlled narrative that all the gatekeepers continue to gatekeep, and they won't allow anybody to ask the simple questions like this. Where where are all these bathrooms that homeless people have access to? So they have access to all these public bathrooms, and they're just choosing to refuse to use the bathroom, and they're and are just shitting and pissing all over in the streets. And according to RamZ Paul, they just don't have the right to do that because they just have all this access to bathrooms. Like, where is the access to any fucking bathroom? See, RamZ Paul can't handle these. These are too tough of questions for RamZ Paul. He must have the softball questions only because RamZ Paul is just a boomer, a frail boomer that must have everything his way. Like the boomers have always have had to have everything their way at the expense of Generation X and every other generation that comes after it. The boomers must have their way at the expense of the entire youth that comes after them. Boomers don't give a fuck about any generation but themselves. RamZ Paul knows it, but RamZ Paul can't be bothered with these hardball questions and hardball discussions because RamZ Paul's a boomer that always has to have everything his way. Where are all these bathrooms that homeless people have access to use? Where are all these options? See, RamZ Paul won't ever answer this, and this is typical. Like I said, I have heard this shit for fucking thousands of times, how all these homeless people, they're just pooping and peeing, and the implication is that homeless have access to bathrooms and they just refuse to use it. See, you're a liar, it's all fucking lies, fuck you, you know. So let's go back and listen to RamZ lie again about bathrooms. Okay?
Option, we're not being cruel.
Oh, yeah. Okay, come on, RamZ
That
Paul.
seems reasonable to me. So we give them a choice. It's like, no, you can't live here and disturb everyone else.
Wait. But P. Diddy can live here and disturb everyone else, and Epstein can live here and disturb everyone else. And Nancy Pelosi can live here and disturb everyone else. And Hunter Biden can live here and disturb everyone else. And all these rich fucking pedophiles and scumfucks can live here and disturb everyone else. All these fucking Holly weirdos can continue to live here and infect everyone. And just like all these scumfucks can live here and disturb everyone else all the fucking time. RamZ Paul has no problem with that. But the homeless, they can't. Pure ridiculousness. These people and their just failed logic every time when it comes to the homeless.
They will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
That seems reasonable to me. So we give them a choice. It's like, no, you can't live here and disturb everyone else.
But all the P. Diddy's and Epstein's and Pelosi's and Biden's and all these other people can, but the homeless cannot. And in the bathrooms, here we go with the bathrooms.
But we're giving you an option, we're not being cruel. This seems reasonable to me. You don't have a right, at least in America, to piss on the street,
right,
to hassle.
Right, because homeless have all these other options to use bathrooms, and they're just refusing to use bathrooms and piss in the street. Right. Lies.
People to do aggressive begging.
Wait, okay, we're gonna really break this down with a fine-tooth comb here.
This seems reasonable to me. You don't have a right, at least in America, to piss on the street, to hassle people.
To hassle people. But cops can hassle you all the time about seatbelts, about not making a full stop at a stop sign, about, like, all these other people can hassle and harass you constantly. But the homeless, like no, they just don't have the right.
Begging. No, you don't have that.
Oh, wait, begging?
You need to take that elsewhere.
Okay, let's go back to begging. Right, begging. Come on. Come on, RamZ Paul. You're like the expert on all of this. Come on.
100, give the
Yeah, because he's going to talk about begging, right? Begging. Even though there's all these e-beggars, fucking RamZ Paul, RamZ Paul, like the legendary e-beggar, doesn't want competition around, you know.
to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
That seems reasonable to me. So we give them a choice. It's like, no, you can't live here and disturb everyone else.
Yeah, but again, Trump can live here and disturb everyone else. Biden can live here and disturb everyone else. All the Holly weirdos can live here and disturb everyone else. All the P. Diddy pedophiles can live here and disturb everyone else. All the Epsteins can live here and disturb everyone else. And all the fucking retarded RamZ Pauls can live here and disturb everyone else. And all these scum fucks that permeate all throughout the world in all societies can, but the homeless can't. Right? And then the bathrooms, you know, even though homeless don't have the option of using a bathroom, it doesn't matter because they're not allowed to piss in the streets.
But we're giving you an option, you know, we're not being cruel. This seems...
Right. Well, wait. So RamZ Paul is making it clear. No, RamZ Paul is not being cruel. Yeah, trust RamZ Paul. Just trust him on this.
Reasonable to me. You don't have a right, at least in America, to piss on the street, to have...
But where are they supposed to go to the bathroom when your society does not allow them to use bathrooms? You know.
Hustle people, to do aggressive begging. No.
Aggressive begging. So let's get into aggressive begging. So I go to a Walmart and there's a sign in front of Walmart that says no panhandling. All violators will be prosecuted. And then I go into Walmart and I buy my shit. And when I go to the checkout, every single time without fail, I'm asked if I want to give them my spare change. Walmart asks me. Love's gas station every fucking time asks me if I want to give my spare change. Pilot gas station. So these people, these massive corporations it's totally okay for them to beg. It's totally okay for RamZ Paul to beg. But homeless people, no, we can't have this, you know. I mean, and again, like prove me wrong. Walmart begs for your change every time you purchase any goods from Walmart. Love's begs for your change while they put out signs out front that say no homeless people aren't allowed to beg. But the corporation of Walmart is allowed to beg you and every fucking customer that comes in. Love's is the same. Pilot gas station is the same. All of these fucking big corporations are begging you when you purchase goods from their store. And none of you people ever even question it. And then RamZ Paul will talk about how, you know, homeless people aren't allowed to beg. And you all agree, like Pavlovian dogs. You're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. RamZ Paul's right again because he's always right. You know, because I don't ever see anybody challenging him. Yeah, and that's because RamZ Paul is a gatekeeper. He's protected. He's a gatekeeper. Nobody's allowed to ask him tough questions. See, all of this shit is all garbage. All of it. Every single one of these fuckers in popular and trending on all these platforms, they're all fucking e-begging, grifting, lying pieces of shit. You know, RamZ Paul claims to believe in the Bible and a Christian, and I can spend an hour showing you all of this stuff in the Bible that goes against what Trump is doing to the homeless people in Washington, D.C., and goes against that RamZ Paul condones all of this removal of homeless people. Like, RamZ Paul's own Bible goes against what RamZ Paul says, but RamZ Paul gets to ignore all of this, and he doesn't ever have to be challenged because he's a fucking gatekeeper who, just like Biden, don't ask any challenging questions to Biden. Well, it's the same with RamZ Paul and all of these guys. And see, they're all allowed to e-beg and disrupt society and do all of this shit all the time, but the homeless aren't allowed to. And again, RamZ Paul of the Boomer generation. The Boomer generation sold Generation X and all other generations down the river so that the Boomers like RamZ Paul could have their freezers full of ice cream like Nancy Pelosi does and everybody else. And all these Boomers are the ones that control all the media, not the Jews. It's the Boomers. Control all the media so they can continue to have their freezers full of ice cream like Nancy Pelosi does. That's why all these people that hold all these positions of power, they're all fucking 90 years old and decrepit. And, it's the Boomers, not the Jews, you dumb fucks. And so it'll never end. It'll never end with these fucking scum fucks.
You don't have that. You need to take that elsewhere.
Again, these are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced, which is part of the reason for this federalizing of the National Guard to bring in this assistance for law enforcement while we are targeting criminals and trying to remove criminals off of the streets. We also
so obviously this is total garbage, and but what's new? It was garbage from 2020 to 2024. It was garbage from fucking 2016 to 2020. It was garbage from fucking, all through the Obamas, all through the Clintons, all through the fucking the Bushes, all through all of these fucking people. It's all just piles of garbage, and it never ends. And they always do the same thing. They always go after the homeless, and all the society cheers because that's all. It's just the bread and circus. That's the greatest show on earth. Is when they go after the homeless. Everybody loves it. So, and then you all wonder why you get 2019 lockdowns and you're all crying, but then you all love this. Homeless witch hunt to go after the homeless. So anyways, it never ends. I've seen and heard all this shit before that RamZ Paul is saying. It's the same fucking shit over and over and over, like a mass of hive mind brain dead zombies. They all say the same thing. All homeless are lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerates who failed to take personal. It's always the same fucking shit. So, and then when they do the next lockdown, you're all going to be wondering and crying and, oh my gosh, woe is you. How is this all happening? Never do any self-reflection and look at anything. Just keep, business as usual,